All right. So we're going to talk about, in general, one-time costs. And one-time costs are often also closing costs. So think of closing the deal. When you're closing the deal, okay? When you're buying the house, you're closing the deal, meaning at first you make an offer. If your offer is the one that the owner selected, the one people selling selected, now you're the winner of the bid. But there comes a time where you need to say I'm gonna move in on this day at if someone says you get to move in on, let's say today's May 11th, technically at 12:01 this morning, you are the owner now. Legally, 12:01, if that's what you put on the contract at just past midnight, you are the owner. And at that point, you will have to pay some closing costs. So listen to this part, guys. If I pay property taxes for the entire year, and I sell it halfway through the year, and I sell it to Isaiah, he has to pay me back the half year that I've already prepaid, okay? If there's also land transfer tax that needs to be paid, okay? All of those things are part of the closing costs, okay? So, you ready for this? You have to save up an additional 2 to 4% of the purchase price when you're buying a house. What's the minimum down payment? 5, right? 5%? I suggest you save up, or it is suggested that you save up an additional 2 to 4% for all the extra costs you're going to incur. For example, property taxes. You're going to be hit with property taxes that year. You're going to be hit with land transfer taxes that year. So there's going to be a lot of extras that you have to account for. So what's 5 and 2, right? 5 and 2, you need at least 7% or more to be stable, okay? Here's a possible list of closing costs or one-time costs. You can use them for either one. Home inspections, okay? You should hire, unless you not have a family member or a friend that you really trust, you should have a professional building inspector that inspects the house you're about to buy. Please add that to your purchasing agreement. If you're making an offer to buy, please say, I will buy this house if it passes the inspection. Because if you put that in the clause and the inspector says, oof, there's a big crack in the basement, you can opt out of that deal. You're not bound legally to purchase. But if you make a bid and then back out, they can come after you with lawyers because you've basically made them turn down other buyers and they went with you. And if you're bluffing, that can actually cost you money. There could be a penalty there. But if you say, hey, I will buy it if everything is all right, you're off the hook. If something is wrong, you can back out and say, wait a minute, I told you that only if it passes inspections will I buy this house, okay? There you go. Appraisal fee, okay? Sometimes the bank needs to figure out, wait a minute, you're gonna offer to pay $500,000 for this house, but on our records it's $400,000. That's too much of a risk for us. Because if I give you $500,000 for a house that's $400,000, what if you don't pay? We're not going to get our money back. So what they do, what the bank says, well, we can send out a person to evaluate it and see maybe our records are off. But that costs money, guys. It costs a couple $100 to do that, okay? Mortgage application fee, that one, I'm not going to highlight that because more banks nowadays are not charging a fee to apply for a mortgage, so we're going to skip that. Land transfer tax is definitely a one-time cost, and it is a closing cost. Here, these are related. You can have a survey certificate. Or require a property survey. This one is the one I want to highlight. What is a property survey? It gives the information how building, fences, and other structures are situated on the property. Okay? This is the most important one. Boundary lines. This one is the most important one in my opinion. You know, a lot of people these days, you don't want to hire a contractor, right? So you build stuff yourselves. Oh, I'm just going to put a shed here. I'm going to put the fence. I think this is right about where the fence goes. I'm just going to put it down. But did you know that there's an actual line where your property ends and where it starts, right? There's actual lines. And so sometimes you have to hire a guy or a company to come and actually tell you exactly like, oh, you want to put your fence down? They put like a peg down, like a metal peg into the ground. If you use a metal detector down the road, you'll find it. It'll beep. And you're like, okay, right here's my property line, right? Because if you're off by a foot, you buy the property and the neighbor says, hey, wait a minute, you're on my property, your fence is on my property. You have to rip it out and move it over, even if it's only a foot, right? So that's why you want to have a property survey. I would suggest you ask for one when you buy so that you don't have the risk of buying a property that maybe they put the shed, they build a huge shed right against the fence, and it turns out to be that the fence is not where the property line is. So now you have to move the fence and you have to move the shed. It could cost you a lot of money, actually. So watch out. Additional legal costs, I'm going to just ignore that one. Lawyer fees, okay? There's legal work involved when you purchase a home. So as I said, this is the seller, this is the buyer. They each have their lawyers, right? You each have your lawyers. And the lawyers are the ones that, I should say it this way. The buyer gives the money to the lawyer into a trust fund, and then the lawyer transfers it to the other lawyer, who then gives it to the person that sold the house. There's no way that you're just going to transfer each other and hope for the best, because it's such a ginormous transaction. It has to go through the lawyers, okay? Don't transfer someone for a house. Don't go for it, okay? You're going to be in trouble. 34. This one is annoying, but you can't get out of that. Interest adjustment. There is a processing time of a few weeks sometimes to transfer the money from you to the other person. Okay? And the land titles office also takes a little bit of time to transfer things over. That's where it's annoying. You must pay interest to the seller. It may be 1 month's worth of interest. You know how I make you calculate? Well, it's not me that makes you, but the province asks you to calculate how much interest you pay on the first month. Do you remember that? Sometimes you have to pay that to the owner, like the people that sold you the house, because they were waiting for their money for about a month. So you have to pay them that. I'm like, that's kind of annoying, right? But that's how it goes, okay? There's property tax adjustment. You may have to reimburse the seller the property taxes that were already paid. Okay? I will call, you know what, moving expenses is considered a one-time expense. So we're gonna highlight moving expenses. Insurance adjustment, there's no such thing. I don't think anymore. You get your insurance company to insure your house, they get theirs, they just cancel theirs when they're done, or they move theirs to the other house that they're gonna own, so you don't have to pay anything there. That's it. So now we're gonna go to our study sheets. Sorry, I'm just checking. We're gonna go to our study sheets right now that it's fresh, and I'm gonna try to help you out. I can't do it all, right? But somewhere on this page, I'm going to give you some examples of one-time costs. One-time costs. So you can have land transfer tax. You can have lawyer fees. Survey, land survey. And you need to know what they mean. Okay, if the province ever says, like, why would you need a survey certificate? It determines the boundaries of the property. Maybe I'll just write that, because your property boundaries. Okay. That's what it says, believe it or not, it says property boundaries. Lawyer fees, we've done that. A home inspection fee. I know that a lot of you have people in your lives that are good at giving advice with finances, so maybe some of this is like, whatever, I'm just going to ask my dad or uncle or whatever when it comes time, but I think having a little bit of knowledge already gives you a little bit more power, okay? Property tax adjustment. And what I'm going to do here is, all of these are one time, okay? All of these are one time, but I'm going to, with a red pen, I'm going to say the ones that are specifically closing, like these are the things that the lawyers will, so I'll go closing is C, okay? So I'm going to go with a C. So land transfer tax would be considered a closing, lawyer fees are closing, survey is closing, home inspection is closing, property tax adjustment is closing as well. And then there's moving expenses. You can consider that. Moving expenses is not a closing cost. You don't need to get a lawyer involved in paying the moving company. You also don't need any immediate repairs. Like if you need to replace the furnace before you move in, that would not be a lawyer taking care of that. That would just be you like hiring a company, but it's a one-time cost nonetheless. So as you can tell, that most of them are closing as well, closing and one-time, but some are just one-time costs. Right next to this, we're gonna have ongoing. Ongoing costs. And that would be property taxes, insurance. Oh, I forgot one. One time, down payment. Down payment is most definitely, so I'll add that somewhere. I would say down payment is not a closing cost. You do that with a bank. So I'll leave that as, I won't put a C next to it. Is it extremely crucial that you know the difference? There has been 1 year where they did trick students a little bit. So that's why I put the C next to closing so you don't mix them up. Ongoing costs, property taxes, insurance, heating, the heating bill, right? What did I put under ongoing normally? There's enough, few more. Electricity, yeah, you know what? Yeah, sure. Sometimes electricity and heating are the same. Electricity, Yes. And altogether, these are utilities. Yeah. And those are usually included when you rent, so it's kind of nice, right? I think I'm just going to leave it at that. How's your study sheet looking? I hope it's probably, I'm probably not helping because I'm not compacting mine. I'm just like giving you a bunch of stuff to add.